Welcome everyone to Coin New Yen Review channel. Before we dive into today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so more people can discover us. Enjoy the show. I wanted by Ningbing to think I was the little puppy she kept by her side. For 3 years, I deliberately didn't spend a single cent of her money. I neatly placed her card in her drawer. Her gifts remained untouched, sealed as she gave them. The only thing I accepted was a childhood sketchbook of hers. But when her white moonlight Jiboda agreed to return, she pushed me into another woman's room. She said if I helped her seal the deal, there'd be a reward. I really went out with that woman arm in arm. Yet she collapsed in a mess. Fang Yuan, who gave you permission to change your heart? She demanded. I sneered coldly. How could she know that woman was a major client of my Familist group, and that I was just the toy she toyed with daily? A pawn in the group's gamble. I stayed with Bai Ningbing at the KTV until late at night. She hooked her finger under my chin. I instinctively dodged away. I never understood why she loved to tease my chin like that, as if I were a puppy or kitten she was playing with, even though I towered over her delicate frame. She never did this to Jiboda. Her face flushed just from brushing Jiboda's hand, even though Jiboda was always cold and distant toward her, even though I was her boyfriend. Bai Ningbing hooked my chin again. Fang Yuan, how many years have we been together? She asked. I brushed her hand away. We've been in love for 3 years, I said. Her best friend teased from the side. The little puppy's getting angry. Bai Ningbing hurry and buy her something to cheer her up. Bai Ningbing laughed, asking, what do you want? I shook my head. I said nothing at all. I was tired of explaining myself. These 3 years with Bai Ningbing, I hadn't taken a single penny from her. I kept everything she gave me neatly in her drawer. All the things Bai Ningbing bought me I stored carefully. I never touched a single one. Only once did she give me a sketchbook filled with drawings from her childhood. That sketchbook I kept. I'd lie in bed flipping through it when I had nothing else to do. But Bai Ningbing still thought I was just a little puppy she kept by her side, not her boyfriend. She nestled into my arms like a kitten finding a comfortable spot. She traced circles on my chest. You know, she said, Jiboda is back. I told her about her white moonlight. I spoke of Jiboda, Bai Ningbing's unattainable dream. She even called his name while we were together. Since she called out his name, I hadn't stayed at her place. Since that moment, I hadn't gone back to her. Today was the first time I'd seen her in half a month. She rubbed her face against me like a cat calling Fang Yuan. This time, Jiboda and I need to settle things, she said. My hand froze. I kept holding her, my posture unchanged. My throat went dry. Acid rose in my stomach, burning my heart. The pain took a while to subside before I coughed dryly. So what are you saying? I asked. Bai Ningbing slipped a card into my hand. She nuzzled into me again, murmuring Fang Yuan. We might be done, she said. I stared at the card, silent. For 3 years, I poured my heart and soul into Bai Ningbing, even though everyone thought I was after her money. I never bothered to explain. I ran through the rain to hold her close, just because she feared thunder. On snowy days, I flew to fetch a handful of snow for her, just because she said she wanted to see snow. But I later learned that day it snowed heavily in Jiboda's city. It wasn't my handful of snow she wanted to see. I worried about her stomach issues, fretted over her love for drinking, tried to ease the stress from her demanding job. I cared for her with all my heart, even defied my father, letting him think I was too caught up in love. Yet I still couldn't compare to Jiboda. Couldn't match a single casual remark from Jiboda about his stomach pain. I swallowed hard, raised the whiskey in front of me, and downed it in one gulp. My stomach ached even more, but the pain snapped me back to reality. I pushed Bai Ningbing away. Fine, I said with a faint smile to her. As you wish. Bai Ningbing blinked. She seemed surprised I agreed so readily. Fang Yuan, it'll help you find a job, she offered. I shook my head, stood up, and brushed off my clothes. No need, Bai Ningbing. Everything you gave me these 3 years. The card, the watch, the limited edition sneakers. If put them all in a safe. The password is your birthday. I turned to leave. Bai Ningbing grabbed the hem of my shirt. Fang Yuan, she called. Her delicate face looked up at me, eyes sharp with pardon. You don't seem upset at all, she said. I didn't respond. I turned and walked away. As I neared the exit of the private room, Bai Ningbing chased after me. Her phone was in her hand. The room fell silent, no one singing. I could even hear the voice from her phone. It was Jibota's voice. "Send him to the room," he said. "Then he'll believe you're truly done with him." Bai Ningbing hung up the phone. Her expression was blank. Her fox-like eyes narrowed slightly, a sign she was angry. She pointed at my chest saying, "Fang Yuan, I'll ask you one more time. Why did you agree to break up without a word? Doesn't it hurt?" she pressed. I lowered my head and smiled. "Didn't you want to break up? How is it wrong to listen to you?" I asked. Bai Ningbing narrowed her eyes further. After a moment, she laughed. "Fine, very well." She pulled out a card and threw it at me. "This is the key to the room upstairs. There's a woman inside. You need to keep her happy. To make my negotiations tomorrow go smoothly, do it well and it'll give you a hefty breakup fee. Otherwise, you'll get nothing." Her fingers grazed my face. Her lips curved upward, but her eyes were ice cold. My stomach ached again. The pain spread to my heart. I grabbed her wrist. "Bai Ningbing, what do you take me for?" I demanded. She smiled, looking at me. "A big toy, of course. Once I'm done with you, why not let a friend have a turn?" I stared at Bai Ningbing for a long time. This was the woman I loved so deeply. Even her best friend thought she'd gone too far. She stood up, trying to stop her. "That's enough. Let's just break up cleanly." But Bai Ningbing stubbornly handed me the room key. "Go or don't go." I took a deep breath. My heart felt desolate. I looked down at the card, stared at it for a long time. I smiled and took the card, then turned and walked away. Bai Ningbing called out behind me, "Fang Yuan." I paused my steps, waiting for her to say something, but she said nothing at all. Not a single word to keep me. I gave a bitter smile and sighed. Just one last time, as she wished. Then I'd cut away all my lingering feelings, never to look back in this lifetime. I took the elevator upstairs. The hotel manager saw me and stepped aside. "Fang Yuan, you're here," he said. "Any instructions, young Master Fang?" I shook my head. The room key Bai Ningbing gave me was for my family's hotel. Even Bai Ningbing was an executive in my family's group. I just hadn't taken a role in the company yet. Most people didn't know. I feared our difference in status would taint our love, so I never told Bai Ningbing. I even knew the person in this room was our group's big client, because I'd fought with my father to secure Bai Ningbing's chance to negotiate with her. I took a deep breath and pushed open the door. The room was pitch black. Only a dim yellow-green lamp glowed by the sofa. A slender figure sat there. Her long, naturally curly hair cascaded over her chest. Her beige cashmere dress looked comfortable and well-fitted. "This must be that big client, Shen Yuchu." She opened her eyes at the sound of the door. Her long upturned eyes fixed on me. She stared without blinking. After a moment, she smiled. "This Bai Ningbing really goes all out." She stood stretching her body. I only heard she kept a little puppy. I said it casually, and she took it seriously. I lowered my gaze. "I'm just here to take a look." If it was a casual remark, I'll leave. Angry as I was, I refused to degrade myself. Shen Yuchu raised an eyebrow. "She didn't force you, did she? Then I wouldn't dare let you in." I said nothing. Shen Yuchu frowned. "So she did." "No way, I don't do this kind of thing." "Go back," she urged. I nodded and turned to leave. When I got home, I locked myself in for 3 whole days. 3 days later, my father dragged me out, said he'd take me to dinner, to build connections for when I'd inherit the business. We arrived at the private dining room, and as we entered, I saw a familiar figure seated at the table. Shen Yuchu saw me. She raised an eyebrow. Her lips parted slightly, but she said nothing in the end, just smiled with a knowing look. I knew she was mocking me, but I pretended not to notice. I made small talk with her, though my heart ached. Business clients still needed attention. Shen Yuchu raised her glass to young Master Fang. "To you. Pure-hearted boys like you are rare these days," she said. Her eyes crinkled with a smile, but they clearly spelled out foolish. I knew it too. My peers in the circle chased models, mostly escorts. They discarded others, never the other way around. I was the odd one out, playing the kept man, and failing at it. I gave a bitter smile, downed my glass of wine, Shen is right, I said. I refilled and toasted Shen Yuchu. Sorry you had to see that. The wine burned my sorrows. It was too sharp, choking me until tears welled up. My father always indulged me. He patted my back. Look at you, drink slowly. Don't make young Shen laugh. I coughed, wiping the corner of my eye. It's funny, isn't it? I must look like a joke. I nodded to Shen Yuchu. Sorry. You saw a fool. Shen Yuchu stared at my reddened eyes for a moment. She said nothing, just nodded. For the rest of the evening, she didn't toast me again, but her gaze softened. After dinner, my father asked me to drive Shen Yuchu back to the hotel. We sat in silence in the car. Shen Yuchu looked out the window the whole way. As we neared the hotel, she turned to me. I'm sorry, she said, puzzled. Sorry for what? You didn't do anything. Shen Yuchu shook her head. I was mocking you in my head, but then I realized I was mocking your pain. I shouldn't mock someone in pain. Sorry, I lowered my head, shaking it. No need to apologize. I deserve it. The car reached the hotel entrance. I got out to open the door for Shen Yuchu. I want to see you up, I said. But Shen Yuchu looked at me. Don't you want to keep drinking, she asked. She smiled, her narrow, beautiful eyes squinting. I brought whiskey. I hesitated. It was late. She was a big client. I didn't want to refuse outright. And honestly, a girl inviting me up. She was the one at risk. Shen Yuchu laughed again. I'm not afraid of you. Why are you afraid of me? Though she was smiling, a flicker of seriousness passed through her eyes. I'm someone who's been hurt too. Just like you. The fleeting pain in her eyes struck me. If there were a mirror now, my eyes would hold the same dimness. I closed the car door. Then I'll take you up on that. These past few days, every time I closed my eyes, I dreamed. Dreams filled with Bai Ningbing's cold eyes. The room key she tossed at me. Her and Jiboda paired perfectly together. I felt like I couldn't hold on anymore. I desperately needed a drink to forget. To forget the truth of these 3 years, and the outcome my heart had earned. I walked with Shen Yuchu into the lobby. The lobby manager greeted us respectfully. He was about to speak, but his shocked voice drowned him out. Fang Yuan, it called. My body stiffened. It was Bai Ningbing's voice, laced with surprise, and more than a hint of anger. What are you doing here? I turned around and saw Bai Ningbing coming out of the hotel restaurant with a few clients. She squinted at me, then glanced at Shen Yuchu beside me, forcing a stiff smile. Shen, looks like my recommendation suits your taste. Shen Yuchu smiled, looping her arm through mine. She nodded at her. I like it quite a bit. I was stunned by Shen Yuchu's move. Bai Ningbing's face paled. Her voice trembled slightly. Shen, can I borrow Fang Yuan for 2 minutes? I just remembered something I need to ask him. Shen Yuchu glanced at me. Seeing I didn't refuse, she relented. She shrugged. 2 minutes, okay. We're in a hurry to head upstairs. Bai Ningbing bit her lip. She beckoned to me. I didn't move. Bai Ningbing gritted her teeth. Fang Yuan, can you come here, please? Her delicate, beautiful face was filled with quiet fury. The ice in her eyes was palpable. I took a deep breath and walked toward her. I didn't know what she could possibly have to say at this point. Surely she wasn't going to apologize. Bai Ningbing pulled me a few steps away. Her fingers were cold. Her face darkened. She gritted her teeth. Fang Yuan, are you filthy or what? I froze. I could accept anything she said about me, but calling me filthy, I wouldn't take that. How am I filthy? I asked, lips pursed. Bai Ningbing's eyes burned with cold fire. I didn't think you'd actually go upstairs. You really went up there. She studied my face, my neck, as if she wanted to inspect my body. What did you to do? She demanded. I looked at her furious expression, feeling both shocked and amused. I glanced down at her trembling hands. Didn't you tell me to go up there? I asked. Bai Ningbing, I was just following your orders. I was angry at you. I was trying to rile you up. The fire in Bai Ningbing's eyes burned brighter. It reddened the rims of her eyes. How was I supposed to know you actually sleep with someone else? Fang Yuan, have you no shame? Bai Ningbing was an executive, usually composed, never showing her emotions. To me, she was always aloof, more often just toying with me. But in this moment, her eyes were red and teary. Her lips trembled with anger. She looked like a child. whose beloved toy had been stolen. It added a touch of realness, a glimpse of the authenticity she had as a child. I closed my eyes, sighed by Ningbing. I should go. We're done. I turned and walked toward Shen Yuchu. She looped her arm through mine. We took the elevator upstairs. Behind us came Bai Ningbing's sharp voice, angry tinged with panic. Fang Yuan. I paused for a moment but kept striding forward. I didn't look back. Shen Yuchu and I drank a lot of wine. I stayed silent. She didn't speak either. We just poured the wine in silence. We clinked glasses in silence. We drank it all down in silence. I gazed out the window, thinking about these past 3 years. She looked out the window lost in her own thoughts. After a long time, a mist of tears shimmered in her eyes. She smiled at me and said, "How can there be so many people in this world who don't cherish what they have?" Her smile was bitter, trampling on someone's true heart. Don't they ever feel pain? I shook my head. I drained another glass of wine. Shen Yuchu tilted her head to look at the city lights outside. The mist in her eyes condensed into a single tear. It slid down her face. We drank for 5 hours, from evening into the early morning. Drunk and swaying, I carried a sleeping Shen Yuchu to bed. I tucked her in carefully, then stumbled downstairs. As I reached the lobby, a voice called out to me, Fang Yuan. I turned around and saw Bai Ningbing curled up on a lobby sofa, a shawl draped over her shoulders, her hair disheveled, her eye makeup smudged. Her eyes were red as she called out, Fang Yuan. I waited for you all night. Why are you only coming down now? She walked toward me. I thought about it carefully. You're not that kind of person. Nothing happened between you to write. I rubbed my temples, unable to find words. My head throbbed painfully from the alcohol, and my heart ached again. Bai Ningbing stared at me, as if she wouldn't rest until she got an answer. I suddenly wanted to laugh. It was always me waiting up for her sleepless night after night, waiting for her to say she was working late, while her office building stood dark and empty, and her best friend's social media posts showed Jiboda laughing, raising a glass with her, clinking glasses with Bai Ningbing, time and time again, until I gave up hope. Now she stayed up all night waiting for me. Why couldn't she have done it sooner? I laughed aloud. Bai Ningbing, does any of this still matter to you? Is there anything left for us to explain? Bai Ningbing froze, as if searching for a reason. After a moment, she said, You owe me money. Why can't I ask? I pressed my temples, feeling disappointment for the umpteenth time. I realized that disappointment piled high enough becomes despair. I had despaired of Bai Ningbing. I clutched my forehead, trying to suppress the headache. Bai Ningbing, if you'd cared about me even a little, you'd have noticed. In 3 years, I never spent a cent of your money. I never touched your card. But Bai Ningbing didn't believe me. Then what about the clothes you wear, the way you look, the watch, the bag? That's my own money. I cut her off, my patience completely gone. Bai Ningbing, everyone around you flatters you for your money, so you think everyone's the same. But I'm not. I told her word by word. I'm not like them. Bai Ningbing bit her lip. Fang Yuan, maybe we should talk again. I shook my head. Talk about what? Bai Ningbing, I ripped open the old wounds in my heart to make things clear with her. Talk about how every time Jiboda called, you pushed me aside to run to him. Or how when Jiboda came back, you kept working late, while not a single light was on in the office building. Or how with one word from Jiboda, you wouldn't even give me the mercy of a clean breakup. You pushed me toward another woman's room, treating me like a toy, even though it's in the past. Even though if let it go, I was still trembling all over. Those memories turned into steel needles, piercing my heart relentlessly, choking me until I could barely breathe. I took a deep breath and asked Bai Ningbing, so what do you want to talk about? I forced a crooked smile. Or are you saying you don't want to be angry? You called me back hoping I'd return. Bai Ningbing fell silent. She suddenly cried, Fang Yuan, covering her face, I can't do it. I waited for him too long. I closed my eyes. The pain in my heart tore at my very core. I heard my own voice, faint and drifting. Then leave me alone, okay? Don't care who I drink with. Don't care whose room I enter or whose bed I share. From now on it's none of your business. Bai Ningbing sobbed softly. I turned and walked toward the door. The early morning wind was biting. It sobered me up and blew away the last shred of my reluctance. Back home drunk and fumbling, I searched my bedroom. After a long time I found his sketchbook. It was the only thing of Bai Ningbing's I kept. Her childhood drawings were so beautiful. In that sketchbook, 2 children were drawn vividly, a pretty lively little girl and a quiet little boy. The girl always held the boy's hand wherever she went, never letting go. Even when bigger kids bullied and pushed them, they held hands, refusing to part. The sketchbook's pages had yellowed. Many pencil lines had faded, but I still treasured it. When Bai Ningbing was about to throw it away, I brought it home, flipping through it often. Only when looking at the sketchbook could I feel that Bai Ningbing had once given me warmth, that she had once held my hand firmly, never letting go. I closed the sketchbook and fell asleep. My dreams that night were chaotic. One moment it was the young Bai Ningbing holding my hand as we fled together. The next it was the current Bai Ningbing looking at me coldly. I'm tired of playing. Let's break up. I slept until 10 in the morning. My father had called me several times. Come to the company at noon to take Shen Yachu out. Go sightseeing. I noticed. My father really wanted me to meet Shen Yachu. In families like ours, marriages are often arranged. Others accept their fate. But I thought I could end up with Bai Ningbing. I refused every arranged meeting he set up, which is why I still hadn't joined the company. Even now, I didn't want to marry someone I didn't love, or treat marriage like a duty to produce an heir, only to live separate lives after a child was born. I wanted to refuse, but something possessed me. I thought of last night. The tear Shen Yachu shed against the night skyline. That tear sliding silently onto the carpet, falling without a sound, her face expressionless. But as the night passed over her narrow phoenix-like eyes, I saw a flicker of dimness. That dimness made me unable to refuse. So at noon I drove to my company's building. I waited in the lobby scrolling through my phone for Shen Yachu. As I scrolled, a pair of beige high heels appeared in my view. Thinking it was Shen Yachu, I smiled and looked up. I've been waiting for you. But when I raised my head, I saw Bai Ningbing, dressed in a professional suit, wearing light makeup, but unable to hide the dark circles under her eyes. Her delicate face looked utterly exhausted. She gazed at me faintly. Feng Yuan, you're here to find me, aren't you? What's the point of finding me now? That day I called out to you and you didn't even look back. I froze. I'm not here for you. Bai Ningbing frowned. If not for me, then what are you here for? I'm waiting for someone. Just as I spoke, someone grabbed my sleeve, then looped their arm through mine, smiling brightly. Let's go. I turned to see Shen Yachu. Today she wore a denim outfit, her hair tied into 2 braids, far more charming than the previous times I'd seen her. She tilted her head, smiling. Didn't you come to take me out? I looked at her smooth forehead and the dimples at her smile, suddenly feeling as if sunlight warmed my body. It felt comforting. I nodded. Let's go. First I'll take you to the wetland park. Then we'll go hiking. Shen Yachu and I walked out together. I didn't even notice that Shen Yachu was holding my arm. But Bai Ningbing called out softly behind me. Feng Yuan. I didn't stop. Bai Ningbing's voice broke with a sob. Come back. Look at me just once. I waved a hand behind me. I drove off with Shen Yachu in my sports car. Many people stared at my car, but Bai Ningbing was the most shocked of all. She sent me a message. Where did you get that sports car? Did Shen Yachu give it to you? Feng Yuan, are you with her for money? But after a while, she sent another. Feng Yuan, you're not that kind of person, right? Shen Yachu's circle is different from ours. She's just playing with you. I replied. Weren't you playing with me too? Bai Ningbing didn't respond. Shen Yachu took my phone. You're out to have fun, so enjoy it. Why look so glum? She gazed out the window. No, sadness can't be fixed with a drink. If one round doesn't do it, try 2. I thought of her tear again. Curiosity got the better of me. Young Shen, it sounds like you've got some unresolved pain too. Shen Yachu turned her gaze back. She smiled at me. Call me Yachu. She looked at the scenery of the wetland park. Calmly she said, my ex-boyfriend didn't know about my family. He swore he loved me, but after I took over the family business and refused his unreasonable demands, he had me kidnapped to extort a fortune. He got his money. I froze. After a moment, I said I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked. Shen Yechu shook her head. It's fine. It's in the past. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. But back then, I got through it with drinking. That's why I suggested you drink last time. I know how much it hurts to have your true heart betrayed. She spoke lightly as if it were nothing, but I suddenly remembered. Shen Yechu was only 26, forced to take charge after her father's stroke, betrayed and kidnapped by her lover back then. How desperate she must have felt. I raised my hand, hesitated, then patted her shoulder. It's all in the past. I took Shen Yechu sightseeing, pausing to check my phone. I saw a post from Bai Ningbing's best friend. Ningbing got engaged to her true love. The photo showed Bai Ningbing in the company lobby, accepting a rose from Ji Boder, a ring on her finger. Her friend left a comment for herself. Some people successfully missed their last chance to make things right. I looked at the photo of Bai Ningbing and Ji Bodo embracing. I couldn't name the feeling in my heart. It was like facing a blade, whether I advanced or retreated. And now that the blade had fallen, I felt strangely relieved. I put down my phone, took Shen Yechu hiking. We ate and watched a movie. I drove Shen Yechu back at 10 at night. When I got home, I got a call. It was from Bai Ningbing. She was clearly drunk. Fang Yuan, didn't you see the post? Why didn't you react? I laughed. What reaction do you want? Should I congratulate you and send a gift? Bai Ningbing's voice was hoarse. Fang Yuan, you're not happy, are you? She said, as long as you're not happy, just say the word and ill. She trailed off. I lowered my eyes and asked softly, you'll what? You wouldn't reject Ji Bodo, would you? Bai Ningbing paused, then paused again. I laughed aloud. Bai Ningbing, you want my blessing? My blessing is that you and Ji Bodo grow old together. Stop overthinking. You can't let him go. Bai Ningbing said nothing. After a while, as I was about to hang up, she said, I thought I couldn't let him go either. But now I don't know. Fang Yuan, I don't know what to choose. When I saw you with Shen Yechu, it felt like a fire was burning in my heart. I hung up the phone without a word. Disappointment can be salvaged, but despair cannot. My father saw that I no longer lived for some inexplicable female employee. I stopped moving out. He was relieved and urged me to join the company, starting with working with Shen Yechu. During that time, Bai Ningbing sent me a message. Fang Yuan, I regret it. I ignored her. I blocked her, letting her leave my world for good. Bai Ningbing's friend raged about me on social media, blaming me for driving Bai Ningbing mad. Later, even Ji Boder called me Fang Yuan. You played the game of hard to get well, but you're just a plaything. Bai Ningbing won't grieve for you. I hung up the phone. I looked at the suit my father had tailored for me, lost in thought. I wondered if Ji Bodo knew that his new boss arriving tomorrow was named Fang Yuan. The next day at the department meeting, the collaborating departments attended together. Ji Bodo and Bai Ningbing as managers were both in the meeting room, waiting eagerly for the chairman's son. Their faces wore warm, expectant smiles. Until I walked through the door, Bai Ningbing stood up. Fang Yuan, why are you here? Before she could finish, the assistant behind me introduced respectfully. This is Chairman Fang's son. You can call him Young Master Fang. Work well with Young Master Fang going forward, and perform diligently. Bai Ningbing froze. I watched her face pale. Fang Yuan, I wasn't surprised. She didn't know I rarely came to the company, or mentioned my background. Who would thought I was my father's heir? I sat down and gestured for her to sit. Manager, by no need to be formal. Sit and talk. Bai Ningbing stood there, as if unable to move. It was Ji Boder who pulled her down to sit. And Ji Boder's face looked even worse. It turned the color of liver. I lowered my head to review the files. I had them report one by one. When it was Bai Ningbing's turn, she stammered and I cut her off. Manager Bai, if you can't speak clearly, find someone who can. This is about my father's hard-earned business, not a place for my personal feelings. Ji Bodo fared better. Aside from trembling hands failing to open his files, his report was passable. The meeting lasted an hour. As I stepped out of the meeting room, Bai Ningbing seemed to snap back to reality. She chased after me Fang Yuan. But this time, she didn't finish her sentence, because Shen Yachu was waiting outside my office, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. Everything went well. She smiled brightly. The sunlight from the window bathed her and the sunflowers in a warm glow. I smiled and took the sunflowers. Thank you. Come in and sit, but Bai Ningbing tried to follow and was shut out by the door I closed. Left standing outside, Shen Yachu sat across from me. She arranged the sunflowers neatly in a vase. Young Master Fang, our collaboration will temporarily end next month, she said with a smile. I probably won't come here so often anymore. I suddenly felt a pang of loss. I didn't know why. After thinking it over, I attributed this loss to how she'd been there for me during my toughest times. Thanks to her companionship, I watched her arrange the flowers. After a moment, something possessed me to ask, can I still find you in your city? Shen Yachu looked up at me. Her eyes shimmered with light. After a few seconds, she smiled and lowered her head. You're welcome anytime. I swallowed hard, suddenly nervous, feeling like there was more to say. But the office door was abruptly pushed open, interrupting me. I looked over displeased. Bai Ningbing barged in recklessly, her eyes redrimmed, all traces of her usual sharpness gone. You're really the heir of the Fang family. I nodded. Shen Yachu smiled and added, yes. Manager Bai, you treated young Master Fang like a puppy. Kept him for 3 years. Bai Ningbing's face paled further. Why didn't you tell me? I looked at her meticulously mad-up face, suddenly realizing I could no longer find the childhood version of her in that face. I closed my eyes, utterly disappointed, no longer wanting to hide from Bai Ningbing. I'm not just the Fang family's son. As a child, I had another name, Fang Yang. With a crash, Bai Ningbing collapsed to the floor, knocking over a teacup with her hand. Her hand was cut. Blood flowed freely. Yet she seemed unaware, just staring at me blankly, as if she didn't recognize me. After a moment, she seemed to recall something terrifying. What have I done? She seemed to ask me, and herself, what have I done? As a child, my father was a rich second-generation heir. He carried my grandfather's surname Mo, but my grandfather fell into addiction, squandered the family fortune, abandoned my grandmother and our family, and vanished, never to be heard from again. Our family fell into the slums, working desperately to pay off debts. Once the richest kid in school, I became the shabbiest overnight. Naturally, that invited bullying. Back then, there was a girl in school named Bai Ningbing. Her father disabled her mother, mad with no one to back her. She was a target of bullying too. The first time I was bullied, Bai Ningbing appeared out of nowhere, grabbed me and ran like the wind. She knew the terrain well, dodging with cunning precision. No one could catch us. That was the first time we met. In the days that followed, we stuck together for warmth, took beatings together, went hungry together. Later, my father took me to another city to start over. He transferred me to a new school. Bai Ningbing and I didn't want to part. We even ran away from home. My father had to call the police to find me. When we had to separate, Bai Ningbing and I made a promise. I'll definitely come back for you. In the years apart, not a single day passed without me thinking of the girl who shared my hardship. Fortunately, my family made money later, and we could return. But sadly, my grandmother passed away from overwork. My father said my grandfather abandoned his wife. My grandmother gave her life for us, so we father and son should take her surname. That's how I went from Fang Yang to Fang Yuan. When my family returned, Bai Ningbing happened to join my company. She was outstanding driven, but she didn't recognize me. When I approached her, I noticed she was particularly averse to mention it. Her childhood. She cut off anyone who knew her path. I worked hard to pursue her, finally standing by her side. I thought I'd fulfilled my promise, but I never expected I was just a stand-in, accompanying her for a fleeting moment. Now looking at Bai Ningbing collapsed on the floor. The heart that once loved her felt no ripples, but the childhood Fang Yang cried with grievance in my heart. We promised to be together when we grew up. Back then we held hands, closer than anyone, yet it ended like this. I called for iodine and a bandage, knelt to clean and bandage Bai Ningbing's wound, smiled at her with the bandage in place. I once thought we'd truly keep our promise to be together. Bai Ningbing's tears fell like rain. Her lips trembled, unable to speak. Only soft whimpers escaped, frail and pained. But somehow we'd come to this point. I helped her stand by Ningbing. We can't go any further. Let's end it here. Tears streaked down Bai Ningbing's face. Her beautiful eyes were filled with pain and pleading. After a long while, she spoke, trembling. If I'd known it was you, I would never have treated you like that. I opened the office door. It's no use. Bai Ningbing, your best chance has passed. Now we're at a dead end. That day, Bai Ningbing stood outside my office for a long time, crying until she broke down. It even alarmed my father. When he came down, I was handing Bai Ningbing the sketchbook. This is the only thing I kept from everything you gave me. Now I think there's no need to keep it. We both need to move forward. Bai Ningbing's trembling hands opened the sketchbook, looking at the childish strokes inside, depicting two children, one taking a beating, the other crying in distress, one running away, the other drawing off the pursuers, one holding the other, staring silently at the sky. On the day they parted, two children hand in hand, swearing they'd be together in the future. Back then, every stroke was sincere, making the days that followed feel like a joke. Bai Ningbing turned to the last page. Her tears fell onto the sketchbook. She closed it, turned and ran crying, her fragile figure, her trembling shoulders. In that moment, merged with the little girl who was chased and beaten in childhood. My father stood beside me. Will you keep her? I hesitated. If her performance is good, keep her. If not, let her go. Deep down, I believed in Bai Ningbing. That girl who clawed her way out of the slums, transformed her personality, severed her past. She was absolutely worthy of her position. She only failed the promise of our childhood. But that's okay. It's all in the past. I turned to Shen Yuchu. I'll come to your city for a business trip this month. Am I welcome? Shen Yuchu looked at me quietly. After a moment, she handed me a sunflower. You're welcome. Ji Bo to resign. He had no choice but to resign. He couldn't face me day and night. Taking my orders had been helped greatly by Bai Ningbing in his career. They say after resigning he struggled to find work. Nothing was quite right. He thought of coming back. But I don't take back what's been discarded, nor do I let others treat me as something to reclaim. In business or love, it's the same. After that day, Bai Ningbing took leave. Someone who hadn't taken a break in years took a full month off. A month later, she stood downstairs at the company waiting for me. She'd lost a lot of weight. Her hair had grown long, untrimmed. Her polished suits replaced with casual clothes. The couple's outfit we'd bought together. Seeing me, tears welled up in her eyes. Fang Yuan, this past month, I visited every temple I could, praying for time to turn back. She gave a bitter smile. I know it's absurd, but I couldn't help myself. What if some god or Buddha heard me? If time could rewind, I'd never treat you that way, even if it killed me. I glanced at my watch. Bai Ningbing, I'm meeting someone for dinner. Let's make this quick. Also, work's been busy lately. I suggest not taking leave unless it's for health or family reasons. Bai Ningbing froze. After a moment, she smiled bitterly. I don't have a chance anymore, do I? I didn't answer, because I saw Shen Yuchu. She walked toward me smiling brightly. I came early in case you got stuck in traffic. I reached out to her. Let's go, well, eat early and catch a movie. We walked hand in hand, forgetting Bai Ningbing was still there. From behind came her soft sobs. Fang Yuan, I came to resign. I can't face you anymore. Shen Yuchu paused and looked at me. Should we try to persuade her? I shook my head. No need. I turned back and smiled at Bai Ningbing, as sincerely as I did in childhood. Bai Ningbing, I approve. I wish you a bright future. I turned and walked away with Shen Yuchu. The crying behind us grew louder, turning into wails of regret. But I couldn't look back. There was a long road ahead, waiting for Shen Yuchu and me to walk together. I held her hand tightly. She gently squeezed back. This time neither of us would let go. Bai Ningbing's side story. I hated when people mentioned my childhood. It was the most humiliating, unbearable time of my life. I studied like my life depended on it. Worked like my life depended on it. All to shake off that childhood shadow. that mocked bullied shadow. But the one thing I could never shake off was a child's smiling face. His smile was so sincere. His name was Fang Yang. His family used to be wealthy, but they fell into ruin, becoming one of the bullied. I usually stayed out of others' business, but when Fang Yang's family was rich, he was the only one who didn't look down on me. He even gave me milk to drink. That milk was imported. He handed it to me without a care. I thought he had forgotten, but I always remembered. So when his family fell, I couldn't help but get close to him, helped him, got myself in trouble, took more beatings for him. One time I was beaten so badly I couldn't breathe. I didn't tell Fang Yang. I didn't want him to feel bad. He was the only person in my harsh life whose smile shone like sunlight. I didn't want him to hurt, not even if it meant taking a beating. Fang Yang and I became inseparable, always together. His young voice swore earnestly to me, "When I grow up, I'll work hard to marry you." Back then, kids thought marrying someone meant never parting. I was more mature than him. I knew it wasn't realistic. Poor kids like us couldn't afford to like each other, lest we drag each other to hell. But something possessed me and I nodded okay. "I'll wait for you." I still don't know why I nodded. Later, Fang Yang had to transfer to another city. He hugged me and cried. I always lived by the rule of avoiding trouble where possible, but that day it was like my heart was clouded. "Why don't you run away with me? We can survive picking through trash." Fang Yang nodded eagerly. We ran hand in hand to the city's edge, so naive back then, thinking we could survive on our own efforts. But within a day, the police found Fang Yang. No one came for me, because my parents never reported me missing. When the police took us back to be separated, Fang Yang sobbed uncontrollably, holding me tightly by Ningbing. "Wait for me. I'll definitely come back for you." I knew even then, adults' promises often fell through, let alone children's. But when Fang Yang said it, for some reason I believed him. I didn't cry, but I nodded earnestly. "I'll wait for you." 10 years passed. My father, disabled but a gambler, lost Bates and sold our possessions, finally pinning his hopes on me. Spend one night with the boss, and our family can turn things around. He even brought the boss home trying to force me. But that day my mother had an episode. She grabbed a kitchen knife and attacked. When saying my mother loved me, she held me and said, "Go. Don't ever come back." I fled with my documents. My mother set fire to our broken home. From then on, I had no home. I worked desperately, climbed every ladder I could. My colleagues knew I was not to be trifled with. Anyone who blocked my path, I dealt with ruthlessly. I had no choice. It was an instinct carved into my bones. From my childhood, old classmates heard I'd made it. They came to flatter me, but they didn't realize how fiercely I rejected my past. If anyone mentioned knowing the old me, I blocked them instantly, without a second's hesitation. That was my shame, my pain, a festering wound no one could touch. Back then, the innocent child by Ningbing vanished, replaced by the current me with no morals, living only for pleasure. I drank heavily, partied wild, lived recklessly. I chased Jiboda from a scholarly family with a prestigious education, like chasing a dream I couldn't touch as a child. In my childhood dreams, I was a university professor. Even though I knew Jiboda was stringing me along, I was like a donkey chasing a carrot, exhausted but unwilling to give up. Others pursued me too, many of them wealthy, but I couldn't stand rich people. Every detail of their extravagance stabbed at the self-esteem, beaten into the dust of my childhood. They didn't know what it meant to lack money, and I didn't know what money was. The inferiority in my bones was unchangeable, so I let loneliness string me along, squandering my youth, twisted by inferiority, living without purpose. Until one day at a nightclub, a handsome boy, almost pretty, approached me, clearly bad at nightclub pickups, clumsily downing drink after drink, thinking it would please me. I usually despised such naive fools, but that day I let him stay, not because his drinking moved me, but because in him, I saw a familiar shadow, a piece of my unbearable past, abandoned together in the depths of my mind. Missing line in the provided text, continuing with the next available line. I only saw in him a shadow so familiar, tied to my discarded past, buried deep in my memories. The shadow in the forbidden zone where no contact was allowed. I judged him to be a nightclub promoter. When I took him home, he heard me drunk and slurring, calling my best friend, ranting viciously about those rich second-generation heirs, using the most venomous words, then cursing my old classmates for their shamelessness, for daring to approach me. I saw him sitting in the passenger seat. He stiffened and I thought I'd scared him. I laughed and patted his head. Don't be afraid. I'm not like this in bed. He forced a smile at the corner of his mouth. Sinking into thought, he said his name was Fang Yuan. No money, no job. Our boss is also named Fang. I teased him to check his family tree. Maybe your distant relatives. You could mooch off him. Fang Yuan gave an awkward smile. Fang Yuan was good looking, well built, and soon I wanted to live with him. Fang Yuan was so pure and kind. I gave him a card, bought him things, showered him with luxury goods. But he never became greedy. I even thought he had the makings of a monk, pure and free of desire. Yet he was so devoted to me. Even though everyone said I was just playing with him, he still earnestly wanted to make this relationship work. And it lasted 3 years. People aren't plants. How could I remain unmoved? Every night I woke screaming from dreams of the past. I got through it hiding in his arms. Every moment I drank myself to tears crying for my mother. Fang Yuan would rush to me and say, "He'll love you in place of your mother." Every time I was around obscenely rich people, so rich it felt distorted. It was always Fang Yuan silently listening to my most shameful thoughts, quietly patting my back. 3 years passed. I told everyone I was just playing around, but I knew it wasn't true anymore. I'd fallen for him too. I even thought, if it came to it, I'd get Fang Yuan an administrative job and marry him. But just in that 3rd year, when I decided to settle down, Jiboda came back. When I threw him a welcome party, I didn't invite Fang Yuan, but Jiboda still saw Fang Yuan's photo through my friend. He smirked, pretty good looking. I smiled and said nothing. 2 days later, Jiboda requested a transfer back to headquarters, working side by side with me, asking me to help him with business. I agreed. Jiboda please joked, "Kick that poor kid to the curb. You're at the age to settle down." I frowned when I heard poor kid. I didn't like people using poor to describe others, especially not Fang Yuan. But this was Jiboda. Marrying him would let me blend into a scholarly family. My children could become the university professor I dreamed of. The bitter inferiority of my child had long twisted into a gaping bloody maw in my heart, sharp and writhing, devouring all my emotions, all my conscience. I wanted to completely break from my past, the scars branded on me, to become a new person, a Binding who erased her past. Those days I couldn't look at Fang Yuan. I barely dared to speak to him. Fang Yuan thought I was under too much pressure. He even wanted to buy me a cat to relieve stress. He made me soup, invited me hiking, tiptoeing around me, caring for me meticulously. I thought it over. I decided I could only tell Fang Yuan when I was drunk. I called my friend and Fang Yuan to go sing and drink. I drank whiskey recklessly, its burn stinging my nose, coughing until tears streamed down my face. When I was drunk and collapsing, I lay in Fang Yuan's arms, smiling as I told him we're done. I thought my years of cruel self-discipline had worked. I'd become a creature with only gold, no emotions. I actually said it. Then watch Fang Yuan's eyes, under the private room's lights, go from sparkling to dim. I thought he'd beg me to reconsider. For a fleeting moment, I even hoped he'd beg. I felt if he just spoke, I'd truly think it over. But he just stood quietly, nodded, and turned to leave, as if these 3 years, all that companionship and closeness, meant nothing to him either. I was instantly furious. Jiboda had said he suspected I'd fallen for Fang Yuan, told me to push him toward our new big client. Only then would he feel secure. When heard this client had just gone through a breakup, was feeling down for a long time, and was vulnerable now. This suggestion was for our benefit. Given my ruthless nature, I'd have agreed. But that day, I hoped Fang Yuan would beg me not to break up. Then maybe I'd reconsider Jibo and not push Fang Yuan to someone else. But Fang Yuan showed no reluctance. This time it hurt my heart. I smiled and gave Fang Yuan the room key. Go entertain the client. Your sister will give you a breakup fee. Fang Yuan was already at the door. The hallway light illuminated his face. I saw a flash of pain in his eyes. But that pain somehow pleased me. At least he was hurting for me. I thought I prepared myself mentally, but I didn't expect. Seeing Fang Yuan and Shen Yechu together would hurt me so much. My heart felt gripped by an invisible hand, nails digging into flesh, twisting until it was a bloody mess. That pain exceeded my endurance. Even though I was known for my resilience, I ignored the client's feelings, rushed up to confront Fang Yuan, even though I had no right to question him anymore. And Fang Yuan, always gentle, looked at me coldly for the first time, told me I had no right to meddle in his life. He laughed mockingly. What are you dropping, Jiboder? I thought I'd shake my head without hesitation. Who wouldn't choose Jiboder? But in that moment I hesitated. Reason kept telling me Jiboder was my only path to escaping my past. But a voice in my heart wailed, can you let go of Fang Yuan? Can you bear it? How can you bear it? I grew up in the harshest environment. I was used to following reason's choice. In that moment crying, I said I couldn't let go of Jiboder. The voice in my heart let out alongside, as if foreseeing future pain and loneliness. After Fang Yuan left, I had nightmares every night. In every nightmare a mob chased me relentlessly. Chasing. A figure stayed by my side, escaping with me, but I couldn't see his face. Every night I woke crying, instinctively reaching for Fang Yuan beside me. Finding nothing, I sat awake until dawn, telling myself over and over I'd forget. Like I forgot my childhood. You can always forget if you try. But I despaired to find this time was different. Fang Yuan was different. I couldn't forget. Seeing Fang Yuan with Shen Yechu at the company. Panic, jealousy, pain crashed over me like a tidal wave. I even wanted to rush up and grab Fang Yuan, beg him to reconcile in front of Shen Yechu. Watching him drive away in a sports car, I panicked more. I feared he'd be happy with Shen Yechu and never come back. I called Fang Yuan. I said Shen Yechu was just playing with him, told him not to take it seriously, but heaven knows I had no good intentions. I just couldn't accept Fang Yuan looking at another woman with that gaze. He replied lightly, weren't you playing with me too? I froze. I had no words. Indeed, what right did I have to teach Fang Yuan how to judge people? Wasn't I the worst to him? That day Jiboder proposed to me. I agreed in a daze. I knew I had no way back. I only had Jiboder left, but my heart still wailed, mourning the loss of something vital, leaving an empty hole in my heart. I imagined countless identities for Fang Yuan. A nightclub promoter, a struggling actor, even a waiter. But I never imagined Fang Yuan would be the heir of the Fang family. His arrival at the meeting shocked me. I was shocked because I'd fought so hard for years, and now my career felt threatened. But after the shock came another kind of panic, a fear I couldn't name, as if the greatest pain of my life was imminent. I was so scared. I chased Fang Yuan to his office heedless of dignity. I even begged him to look at me again. If he looked at me, would he remember he once loved me? But he didn't look at me. He was looking at Shen Yechu with the same gaze he once gave me. I never imagined how much it would hurt to see Fang Yuan look gently at another woman. The pain made me clutch my chest, barely able to stand. But it was fine. I told myself I'd climbed this far over the years. There was nothing I'd never imagined. Fang Yuan's gentle gaze on another woman would hurt so much. The pain made me clutch my chest, nearly collapsing. But it was fine. I told myself I'd climbed this far over the years. Nothing could break me. But the next second Fang Yuan said he was Fang Yang. I couldn't hold on anymore. The moment the name Fang Yang appeared, a deafening roar exploded in my mind. The high walls I'd built to bury my memories, the cruel, humiliating, painful memories came rushing out, and at the deepest abyss of the ruins stood a little boy quietly watching me. We promised to be together, Did you forget? I fell cutting my hand. Blood flowed staining my hand, but I didn't care. I stared at Fang Yuan, finally realizing why he seemed so familiar. The wail in my heart turned to a scream. I warned you. I clearly warned you. Tears streamed down my face unknowingly. The pain left me unable to stand. My childhood pillar. My teenage hope. The only beautiful memory in my ugly past. The only pure existence. I treated him like a toy and tossed him to someone else when I was done. I suddenly remembered after breaking up with Fang Yuan. I found all the cards in my drawer, saw all the gifts in the wardrobe, but the sketchbook was gone. The one I threw out that Fang Yuan retrieved, treasured like a prize, carefully stored. That sketchbook held the warm details of our childhood. And now Fang Yuan returned that cherished sketchbook to me, severing our last connection. I covered my face, sobbing uncontrollably. Fang Yuan cleaned my wound with iodine, applied a bandage. He sighed. By Ningbing were truly done. I seemed to hear his own sorrowful sigh. In all those days I waited. If you turned back even once, we wouldn't be here now. I suddenly had no strength to respond. I'd fought for over a decade, never giving up easily on anything. As long as I could speak, I could defend myself. But at that moment, I had no strength left. I could wrong anyone, but I couldn't wrong Fang Yang. That was what broke me most. It drained all my strength. Later, I took a month's leave. I visited every temple, seeking a chance to turn back time. It became my only solace for living. But a month later, time still marched forward. My despair grew with each day, as did my longing for Fang Yuan. I couldn't resist seeing him. He was in a suit, polished and poised, beaming with a smile, looking happy. I suddenly realized it was a happiness I'd never seen, a happiness I'd never given him. I knew I should let him go, let him stay that happy, but I couldn't accept it. I desperately wanted my Fang Yuan. Besides my mother, Fang Yuan was the only person in the world who'd been kind to me twice. I begged Fang Yuan for another chance, but he cut me off, smiling toward the distance. I turned my head. Shen Yuchu stood ahead, wearing a beige dress, standing in the sunlight, gentle and radiant. Her smile pierced me. It was a smile I, living in shadows, could never possess. The long-buried inferiority surged back. I retreated to a corner, watching Fang Yuan and Shen Yuchu walk away hand in hand, alone tasting the agony of being devoured. At that moment, I understood I'd lost all my chances. It was time for me to exit. I resigned from my job. I'd always been someone climbing upward, but overnight I lost my drive. I called off my engagement with G Boater. G Boater once asked me, "Is it because I can't find a job now? Are you looking down on me?" I shook my head no. I looked down on myself. I returned to my alma mater, opened a small shop near the campus. The shop faced the field, where Fang Yang and I used to sit and watch the stars. Back then, little Fang Yang pointed to the sky and said to me, "Bingbing, my Aries is here. Your Scorpio is over there." I didn't know if he was right, but I went along. They're not far apart. That means Aries and Scorpio are good friends. They'll never part. Fang Yang scratched his head just like us, never parting. I ran my shop gazing at the field stars. To this day, I still can't tell Aries from Scorpio, but it doesn't matter. As long as they're the stars Fang Yang and I watch together, as long as I still hold those memories. I lived alone into old age. News of Fang Yuan appeared online from time to time. He married Shen Yuchu. They had a son and a daughter. His family business grew larger. He grew more mature, no longer the shy boy who courted me. Once a nosy reporter asked him, "Have you only ever loved your wife?" I saw him pause for a second, then smile and nod yes. I covered my face and wept. That year I was 50. That year I'd finally learned to tell Aries from Scorpio. But it was useless. For the rest of my life, I'd never see my Fang Yuan again. My direction, my boy,